This talk can help you define your own path in life and then follow it. But first, we need to understand the type of world we are born into. We are born into this world hungry, confused, and vulnerable. And as we grow up, we try to eliminate those feelings by changing the environment in which we live in. We start acquiring stuff like money, power, fame, and achieve higher status, etc., with the persistent hopefulness to one day get rid of that confusion, hunger, and vulnerability with which we are born with, and achieve some sort of fulfillment and happiness outside of us, which might seem reasonable at first, but the whole act within itself is what keeps us detained within our problems. And to get rid of them, we turn back and look at the understanding of time. It is very important for each one of us to understand our respective leisures of time in life, because it's only then that we are able to do whatever we want within this lifetime. Though for some reason in our society, we have a set pattern for each one of us that we have been following without even realizing why do we follow it. The pattern goes a little like this. You're born and then you're raised to get a certain amount of marks in all of your subjects in school. Then you get a certain degree and then you get a nice job, you earn a good car, you earn a good house, and then you make a certain amount of money till a certain age, which is said to bring you some form of happiness for the rest of your life. The problem with that is it never is going to fulfill the void within you. You can always make more money. Even if that amount of money is enough for you, it still won't be fulfilled. So, what do we do to fulfill it? We first need to understand that it is not the end goal which will bring us the happiness, it is the process towards it. And the process to be insightful for us, to fill up that void, the process needs to be around something which is of importance to us, something which we have chosen ourselves because we are truly and in-depthly passionate about it. We have a great aptitude in it and we are passionate about it. It's not because it's a common occupation that we do it. It's not because it is something different why we do it. We do it because we have a passion towards it. And if so, then it does not matter if you are going to take up an occupation as bizarre as being a magician or as commonly taken up as an engineer. If you are passionate about it and if you have a great aptitude towards it, then that is what matters. However, sometimes we aren't always fortunate enough to have aptitude with what passionates us. In that case, we can always support that stream of line in life. We can always show our support to it, maybe to others or maybe by funding that line as well, in various ways, of course. And then find something which also passionates us and we have a good aptitude towards it. Once we have done that, that is when we have truly defined our own path in life, and then we can begin to follow it. Now that we have learned how to define our own paths in life, it's time for us to learn how to follow them as well. And there are 5 rules that I would like to share with all of you. And the rule number 1 being acceptance to failure, which is one of the most important rule out of all of them. Acceptance to failure. We will fail throughout our paths multiple times and it is very important to fail. And acceptance to failure is the most necessary thing throughout. And to understand and to accept failure, to understand the whole concept, there is a quote by one of my biggest inspirations in my life, David Blaine. And the quote is, fail, 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 and then you will never fail again. And if you understand the quote, what it really means is, since you understand your best friend inside out, if you understand failure like your best friend inside out, you would have extracted every bit of knowledge from that event. Everything that went wrong and everything that could have gone right, so that the failure wouldn't have taken place. You would have extracted everything, and then once you know the failure inside out, you will never fail again. So that's rule number one, acceptance to failure. Rule number two is networking and socialization, which is very important because in whichever path you are, in whichever stream you are, networking and socializing with the right people will push you to leaps ahead. It is very important to network, go out there and socialize with the people within your same stream or similar to it, which will or who will help you out with it. Which brings us to rule number three, which is money and sustainability, which is just as important because whatever is it that you want to do, again, if it's something as common or if it's something bizarre, we already discussed that. If you're following your own path, you need it to be sustainable. You need to earn money out of it enough so that it's sustainable for you. Which brings us to rule number 4, which is pressure, criticism, and how to handle things and balance them. In whichever stage you are of following your path, whether you're a student or you're a grown up adult, you need to balance every part of your life with your path. You need to balance everything. You need to understand that you shouldn't take much pressure from anyone. There are only two things in life, the external and the internal. And once you understand the basic concept that the external is mostly out of your control, but the internal is 110% in your control, if you give your best from the internal, the chances of the external going right increases. So taking pressure and criticism, I'm not saying avoid criticism, always acknowledge it. There might be positive criticism in there which will help you to grow. But then there are people who criticize because of various reasons that I don't want to get into. So it's very important to acknowledge criticism and not take any pressure from someone and yet balance everything out in your life. Because it's only then that everything would go steadily. Which brings us to rule number 5, hard work. Work your butt off. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're not sleeping at nights. It doesn't matter. If you are truly passionate about it and if it's for a good cause, work your butt off. You need to work day and night. You need to have full dedication and full conviction towards whatever it is. Because you can make art out of anything that truly passionates you. And if there is someone who tells you that you can't do it, if there are people who tell you that you can't do it simply because it is something that sounds bizarre, it's all the more of a reason to do it. Because then it means you're the first person to do it. So if it has a good cause, if it's for a nice purpose and you're passionate towards it, do it no matter what. Those are the 5 rules that I follow. And now that both the segments have been covered, I think it's time for me to introduce myself because it's also relevant to the talk, especially the second half of the talk. So hey everyone, my name is Arjun Kohli and I am 17 years old. I am a magician and I have been performing magic since the past 7 years of my life, very passionately, covering shows throughout the country in different cities, different types of shows. I've been performing and practicing the craft since the past 7 years, and I've been diving deeper and deeper into the art form every single day. I love performing magic. And just because I love performing magic, and I've been doing it, going out there and covering all the 5 steps that I just mentioned, I've already defined the path, but now I'm on the verge of following it, and I love following it. I love my art form. And before we go, I'd like to leave you with a mystery. Look, I have a deck of 52 playing cards. In a moment, you are going to think of any one of these cards from the middle of the deck. So, how that's gonna work is I am going to riffle through the cards like this, and you will see any one from the inside and then remember it. Not this one, it's too obvious. Maybe it was too fast. Here, I'll do it again. Look. So now that you have one in mind, I want you to keep thinking of that card. Here, I'll try this. Don't tell it to anyone. Keep thinking of it. Now, I don't think so that you selected the King of Spades, but I want you to imagine your card over here. Here, I think it was the Two of Hearts. Follow the path you believe in.